Overspending's always been something that's been a bit of a problem in my life. For my whole adult life, to be fair. I often find that I overspend in the busy time, emotional time, and life changes quite drastically, such as having a baby. And I really want to get to the root cause of this, because the other day I almost found myself back in debt again, and that was simply because I had mum guilt. There's a fly. That was simply because I had mum guilt, and I really wanted to keep my kids happy during the summer holidays, and I knew they were kind of bored. Before we get going, I'm going to try and save them those pennies, and we're going to give the kids lunch before we head off. It is about, it's 1 o'clock, just pack the bits that we need. About England is you never know what to wear. The weather is rain today, but then it's also quite warm. I'm just going to take a little light jacket with me, but I don't think I'll be wearing it. First thing that comes to mind is how we spend. Now, I am a card spender. It's something I've been doing for ages. It's just so much easier. It means I can shop online, and then it also means that I don't have to worry about extra trips to the bank to get cash. But recently I've realised that I just don't feel the connection to my money that I should. It doesn't feel like I'm actually spending money. So one thing I've challenged myself to do is over the course of 75 days, I'm trying to spend cash, actual physical cash, as much as possible. Am I succeeding at this? Nope, not at all. But I am spending more cash than I usually would. I feel torn, like I struggle a little to pay as much, and that's good because it means that I'm starting to really value. Anyway, let's go make the kids some sandwiches. I keep rambling on. So whilst the kids are having lunch, I'm just going to quickly create a shopping list and an errands list for today, because I feel so overwhelmed. There's so many things that I need to do. So the best thing to do is get it on paper. And a little hack for anyone that has multiple things going on. Today I am running errands, I'm doing the grocery shop, and I'm also filming this video. So I'm actually going to split this list into 4 sections and use 3 of the sections to have a grocery list, an errands list, and then also my YouTube tips list as well. I mentioned that I have noticed I've slowly started overspending again, and I really do believe it's the link to payday and feeling like payday is becoming a distant memory, so my motivation's disappearing. So one thing I'm going to be doing is setting weekly check-ins, because I realise that will allow me to look back on the last 7 days and see how much impulse spends did I have, how much money did I waste on impulse spends, also unexpected spends as well. But have a weekly check-in, so then I stick to some new goals and create some new goals where I can then try and stick to it. But anyway, let's write this list and so we can get organised. And doing a top-up shop for now because I did a monthly shop last week. However, we are starting to get a bit bored of our meals, so I'm actually not going to get the full shop today, just because I feel like I want to do a bit of research online and see what other meals that we can make. Because like the same menu for like the last 2 months, and it's like no motivation. I feel so much more clearer, and there was a couple of things that I completely forgot about, so I'm really happy that I've found them. I've wrote everything down. I went through my emails and just double checked and there wasn't anything I missed, and I've got to do 7 stops today, so it's going to be very busy. I've also got to go and do a grocery shop. Something I realised as well, today's going to be a day where I'm going to be spending, and I really think that there's some benefit in just checking and making sure that I plan ahead. So like we've had lunch already, and then when we go out we're going to be just sticking to our list. I've wrote everything down and I know exactly what I need and what I don't need. I'm going to pack my bag and then make sure I've got everything. I've been tracking my spending. I realised that I actually spent a fortune on deliveries, especially if I'm shopping in a variety of different places. In the last week or so, I've actually been getting ready for school, so there's been quite a few deliveries. Now, usually using Amazon, that will help save so much on fees, so I'll just always buy random bits from Amazon. What I've decided to do this time round is I have actually collected quite a few items from the shops. But when I go and collect items in the shop, what happens, I see so many things that I want to buy. So it's sort of like out of sight, out of mind. To help minimize on the chances of overspending and just buying what we need, I have decided that Friday is going to be my sort of Evan day, a day where I just try and spend as little as possible on that particular day. I try and avoid impulse spends, but it is a day where I expect to spend. We've collected those 2 parcels. Let's head to our next stop. We just popped to Crown Point just to collect another parcel, have a look in a couple of the shops. I usually get the kids just a small treat each month and got them a little toy each, but it got me thinking about another thing that always leads me to overspending, and that is spoiling the kids. And I'm so guilty of overspending when I go out and treating the kids. One thing I did the other day just to help minimize the chances of overspending, cutting up the credit cards. I realized after a couple of years that I didn't need a credit card anymore. I initially got one during my debt-free journey to improve my credit score, but my credit score is now high, so I no longer need a credit card, and it was just starting to become more dangerous and I couldn't trust myself. I realized that I would overspend. Like, I could be good all month, but give me one bad day and I'll ruin all that progress. We've still got a couple more stops to do, and Tesco's. I feel like I've been at work today. I am drained. The next day, and I ran out of time yesterday to film. By the time I got back, it was late and I was just tired. Now, I'm not gonna lie, today's been a little bit of a spendy day. My daughter started ballet again. While she was at ballet, I quickly gave the car a wash and a clean. After that, View Cinema Day, and their tickets were only £3 and it had so many films on. But we decided to watch the Mario Brothers movie and it was amazing. It got me right back to being a child, and the animations, everything, it was so good. So speaking about today, one thing that's really helped me along the way is accountability. Then throughout my debt-free journey, I would share my budget and my spending, and it's something I'm going to be doing again. But then it may just be having a friend as well that's like in a similar position, or maybe it's just even tracking your spending, because sometimes just knowing that you've got to write down everything you've spent makes it feel much worse. Another one is tracking your spending. Not just tracking your spending, but tracking in general. Something I've started doing recently and it's helped me so much is actually tracking when my period's due, journaling, and then also tracking my spending. And using those 3 things, I can really gain an insight into how I spend, why I may overspend at certain times of the month and why I don't. I know for me, when I start to come on my period, I might feel a bit down, so sometimes I might feel the temptation to just buy something online just to cheer me up. But then also sometimes I'm like really hungry and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I really fancy a big burger or something along those lines. Tracking my mood and when my period's due and everything, it really helps, because then in the future I can start prepping for that week in advance or that period of the month in advance, when I know, okay, I am going to be a bit more hungry at this time of the month, or I'm going to want to spend a bit more at this time of the month. So let me make sure I've got lots in the house, or let me distract myself with. Finally, the last one I would say is starting a challenge. Now, I've shared this briefly, but I've shared much more updates on Instagram. I started a 75 cash challenge where I'm just trying to spend cash only, ideally notes if I can, but there's no pressure there. read 10 pages of a book every day, track my spending, take note of anything I want to buy, impulse spends. I must say it's a struggle, but it's helping though, and I am finding that I am spending less because I know that I've got this challenge, and that itself is acting as a form of accountability, and it's really helping me so minimize how much I'm spending and question everything and wonder, actually, do I need to buy that item or do I not? So that's 10 tips that I find really helpful when it comes to overspending. It doesn't always instantly work, but it helps though, and I really hope these tips help you. But thank you once again for watching, and it feels so good to be back on YouTube, and yeah, I've got so many great ideas for the future. So yeah, until next week, I will see you later. Bye.